Hey everyone and welcome back to Venlo Zoo. Today with a wonderful OCELOT tower build. More about that in this video, but we are back in our city zoo, Dutch inspired city zoo, and I can't wait to share this build with you. I think it's one of the better ones I've done recently, specifically in Planet Zoo, so I'm quite proud of it, specifically about the outside area. But before we jump in, apparently there is something we always do, and that is highlighting our sponsor of the channel, that is Instant Gaming. It is a legit service and you can get game keys for a very good value, but you can also get in-game currencies, just like PlayStation money, Xbox money, whatever, how this is called nowadays. They have a very good customer support in case anything goes wrong. And you can obviously also find DLCs, pre-orders and all kind of stuff around your games. And again, as I said, they have very good valued offers and so on. So make sure to check it out. Link is as always in the description and you'll be able to find something for you for sure. Anyways, go back to the video because we have things to talk about. First of all, I'm gonna talk a bit about the feedback you guys gave about this America's pack and just in general what I think is going on with Planet Zoo, Planet Coaster, Jurassic World Evolution, like the whole Frontier situation alike. But first things first, I want to talk about this build specifically, because I wanted to do something more special, and we are in our Dutch-inspired zoo. You know that this has a lot of trivia and storytelling going on, and usually what we do is we repurpose an old area, or we have an area which used to be, for example, a parking lot that has been turned into something. Maybe that's a spoiler for a future episode, who knows. But just in general, we are talking about a city zoo that used to be a huge city zoo, or not maybe not huge, but typically a very condensed city zoo that has typically not the best focus on conservation. And over time, zoos change. One of the more obvious highlights is located in Germany. The Ruhr Zoo was basically a very typical city zoo in the past. Very dense, very old, very shabby when it comes to certain habitat variations, specifically for big cats and so on, so the typical shelters you do know. And nowadays, the Ruhr Zoo isn't the Ruhr Zoo anymore, it's the Zoom Erlebniswelt, how it's called, which is a very great zoo when it comes to really trying to bring in conservation and, the best possible way in the context of zoos anyways. But in this zoo, we are doing this exact thing. We are trying to get away from the old kind of problems and issues of a city zoo, and we're trying to make the best of the space available within our Dutch city area here. And usually, as I said, what I've done is I took a lot of older buildings and mixed in a lot of inspiration from Dutch architecture and so on. But what's also very cool about Dutch architecture is that we don't only have the classical colonial kind of style architecture, but we also do have a lot of modern architecture in the Netherlands, and the Netherlands are very much known for modern architecture too. So this is why I decided it's time again for a more modern approach. So the last episode you've potentially seen our semi-aquatic house. I used one of the more classical builds as an entrance and added kind of an more modern house to it, but not super modern. And this over here is the approach to make it a very modern OCELOT tower, and the idea is just to give the animals space that they require to climb, to move around and so on. And since these animals do require certain temperatures, it is very likely that specifically in winter times they may not go outside that often, and I wanted to be sure that they do have enough space inside that is also not granting them space, but also the ability to climb and hide and all these kind of things. And this is why I spend a lot of time making the inside not only look good, which is most likely very simple in this game, but also to be usable actually for the animals. So traversable is the key word I was referring to here. And that was actually quite a challenge. So I envisioned this build to take around 2 hours max, and well, you know me, this never works out. So it was 5 to 6 hours now in total for the build, which I gotta say was relatively efficient. I would have loved to post this already on Monday when the embargo for the early access dropped, but I wasn't able to do that. At the moment, trying to juggle different games, work, live, private stuff, and so on, is still very challenging. It's still quite impressive, at least I think, how many things I managed to post. I would love to post more because I have so many ideas. Like, I gotta tell you guys, if I would have, sorry, my voice is cracking. Yeah, I should have drank something before. You know what? We are here in a very leisure and comfortable environment. I'm just gonna drink while I'm recording. I'm that type of guy now, Ah, they even heard the crack of the water bottle. Yeah, anyways, what I wanted to say is that I could fill an entire Excel document, like a format file, with ideas, and you need to scroll for half a minute until you go to the very end. Trust me, I've got so many ideas. So I could take off 3 or 4 weeks and build for 8 to 10 hours a day straight, and I wouldn't even do half of the list. It's ridiculous. I think the least time you have, the more ideas come up, and it's very important to then write them down, what I did. So maybe at some point I'm gonna make a video about all the ideas I noted down and never have seen the light of day. That could be a fun thing, but yeah. With this specific build over here, I tried at least to combine 2 ideas I had recently. So I wanted to build something for a cat again, and then it came in very handy that we got the ocelot as an animal in this pack, which potentially is my favorite. I think the best design in this pack for me personally is the coyote, but I think the best animal for me personally, also usage-wise, is definitely the ocelot. That's why I'm building the specific house for this one. And again, as I said earlier, I wanted this time around to have the contrast with the tower that you see in the background here. By the way, you also see that little testing area that I did for the DLC, which apparently is gonna go away at some point. Now, as promised, as we're halfway through this build, and specifically the outside area we are going to have a look at in the real-time part, I'm very proud of that one, to be honest. Turned out very beautiful. I want to take the minute to, or maybe a couple more than a minute, to talk about the future situation of these games. I had talks with a lot of different creators lately about the situation of Frontier, and everyone is kind of having the same feeling that all we know is that we don't know. Everything changed around Frontier so dramatically over the past 2 years that everything we used to know is kind of gone. I'm very happy that it seems like they have kind of, I don't know what exactly was going on, but it seems like they have ironed out all the issues they had maybe with the creator communication. It was a bit of a thing, you know, in the meantime. They have professionalized that in a way, which I think is good, you know. Thanks actually to have early access again. It still was a bit of a weird one, but I think that was also down to, well, staff issues. That's what it is. But yeah, so what you can see at the moment with the situation at Frontier is that we may have seen the last DLC for Planet Zoo, or we may not. It depends a little bit because it still sells pretty well. If you look into the final financial reports of Frontier, you do see that Planet Zoo excels dramatically in sales. It's their best game if you take into consideration how long it has only been for one platform and also now for console and so on. It does very, very well on the money side of things, which is the main reason, and I'm very sure about that. This is no guessing by any means because it's just pure logic, the reason why we are getting more DLCs. But equally the reason, and I've talked enough about that in my video, if you're interested in the full review of that, you know, I talked about that in the review of the pack. This is just a given because they make money off of it and they make the packs. But we're so far into development, the team is rather small, and hence we can't expect like crazy new animals. I'm very fine with what we have. But that said, I am still pretty aware that they are working on a different type of a planet game, or at least a creative simulation game for 2026, set to be released in that year. And they also are going to release one of these games this year, which is already confirmed going to be Jurassic World Evolution 3. So knowing that they do categorize Jurassic World Evolution and Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo alike into the category of creative simulation games, apparently a 2026 release of Planet Zoo is not a given. It could very well be something completely different. It could be a Planet Prehistoric as well. Maybe the contract with Universal is going to run out after this year's release of Jurassic World Evolution, which is never gonna be a Planet game. They also said that already. And we don't really have that much information about Jurassic World Evolution 3. The only information we had is an interview of Dave Braben in a investor relations kind of press voice call or whatever that was, where he basically said that, you know, they're not going to change as much in the game as they did with Planet Coaster 2 versus Planet Coaster 1. Whatever exactly that means, like it could mean they don't change so much about the core of the game, which they did with Planet Coaster and which caused a lot of backlash, or it means they are staying true to to the plan and strategy they had with Jurassic World Evolution and don't make it as much customizable as it potentially could be, which would be a bit of a downer for most of the people, because specifically if you look at the Jurassic World Evolution community, they are also bragging for more content and more, you know, flexibility in building. People have been very upset when Jurassic World Evolution 2 launched and there was no individual pieces to be placed down. So hopefully they've learned their lessons, and hopefully they've learned the lessons from the launch of Planet Coaster 2 as well, for the release that is set to be this year. But it's also very confusing that we don't hear anything about this, because if it was targeted towards the movie release, you know, time is gonna get very tight now, so potentially they have delayed that, and equally potentially that means that the 2026 release of a future game is going to be delayed. If you ask me personally, I still believe that we are going to look at Planet Zoo 2. And the main argument I would take for that is the fact that they completely ignored anything about fish and birds in Planet Zoo 1. It's not like that they, you know, there is no single reason why you wouldn't have tried to do it in this game if you don't plan on bringing on a new game. The same goes apparently for water parks in Planet Coaster 1. And people always argue with, like, well, we just had Planet Zoo, you know, what are you even talking about? But if you look at it, Planet Zoo was released in 2019. 26 would then be 7 years after the initial release of the first one. If you look at Planet Coaster, that has now been released in 2024, like the second one, and the first game was released in 2016, that makes 8 years of a difference. And now, considering the fact that potentially Planet Coaster 2 was already delayed by a year because of COVID, it could have meant that there was a 7-year span in between two. So there's no reason to not believe Planet Zoo 2 could be a thing. Technically, it could very well be a thing if they've decided to move on. However, my initial thought that I had beginning of last year was, I'm very, like, when we learned about the news that they are planning 3 new creative simulation games, of which 2 of them were already pretty much known, being Planet Coaster 2 and Jurassic World Evolution 3, I was very certain that the third one is going to be Planet Zoo 2. I still would put my money on it, but I'm not 100% certain anymore because of the reasons I just talked about. However, from a financial standpoint and from a security standpoint, I guess this would be the way to go for them, and then hopefully not fail in the launch and potentially, you know, build on the same formula as they have done successfully with Planet Zoo. And that means, first of all, just launch it for PC only. I think, you know, as much as I love the console people, and as much as I think it should be released on console very soon after, not like 5 years after, but maybe a year later, maybe half a year later, it doesn't matter. But, you know, I think it would be better for them to, first of all, focus on one platform only to make the game as good as possibly possible. My God. No, you didn't have a problem here with your YouTube player. That was just me, my brain having a processing error. Now, just fun things aside, I definitely think that they have to go for a game like that. I think with the given situation, and if Jurassic World Evolution 3 is not going to be a banger, at least financially, they really can't do anything else and go for a risk for a new game, which doesn't even have a fan base yet. So I don't know. It's just me thinking. And why do I even talk about that while we are doing such a beautiful build in the background? Well, because I think Planet Zoo, and it's kind of hard to say, but because I'm just actually deep inside of me, I'm more like a theme park guy. But I think at the very end of the day, the Planet Zoo game is the better game of the both. Even Planet Coaster 2 can't give the same level of completion, and the game also maturity, I would say. Planet Zoo just feels so much more mature of a game in comparison to both other Planet games we have. And Planet Coaster 1 obviously has the benefit of being the first one, so no shame towards that one. But Planet Coaster 2, despite the fact it's getting better and better, and maybe it's gonna reach the point somehow, but it just, like, on a level of emotional feeling, I don't even know how to put that in words. It's just a feeling thing, but it doesn't feel as mature of a game as Planet Zoo does. And yeah, I think there are so many easy wins to make a second Planet Zoo game without even having that much of a risk. You know, you already have so many great things in the game. Just give us a bit more of a detailed staff management, maybe even staff vehicles. Just give us a way better navigation system for the animals, maybe put into place all the learnings you drew from the first game, and then apparently give us fish, better exhibits, and birds. That's, I mean, it sounds like easy, but apparently that would be enough for a new game, in my opinion. Definitely would be enough for a new game. And then all the improvements that we've seen now with Planet Coaster 2 about the restaurants and so on. Can't wait for a souvenir shop or so. I guess they're doing some more improvements about that too. So yeah, you know, what can I say? I love this game. I love Planet Zoo. You see that there is still content coming, and I'm finishing Venlo Zoo. You can quote me on that. It may take a little longer than I expected, but I'm gonna finish this park because I'm so in love with it. There are still some special projects I have started at some point. I can't promise that they will ever be finished time-wise, just like that. But yeah, I'm just happy we can still see this game and enjoy the game together. Hopefully you have as much of a great time that I have. And yeah, this little area over here turned out very beautiful. Can't wait to show it to you in-game now. So, well, let's not wait any longer and hop over and finally talk about just this build again. But I think it's better in the real-time part because we can just have a look at the actual build. Real-time part. And this is potentially the one spot I'm thinking is the hero spot of the whole habitat. So you can see this is where you see the tower, where you can really look inside of it. It gives the animal plenty of space to hide. Oh, look, there is an OC looking out of it. This must be fixed. But yeah, so this is very beautiful. We've got a little bit of a hygiene kind of thing over here. Something for the kids to explore, you know. They can test if they can see the right paw, and I thought, you know, that's a bit of an interaction in front of it. You can take a seat, but you can also go over here and have a look if you can spot the animal in the outside area. We are going to have a look at that in a second. We'll go around that one, but just to give you a bit of an idea where this is located. So we are coming here from the desert house, and I still have to figure out what I'm doing with this little area. I think we're gonna put like a little kiosk or so over here. So we're coming out of the desert house, which is that one over here. Hello, look at you, Peffin. So we're going. By the way, the latest members have been added to the go-kart timing sheet, and they will find themselves soon in this wonderful project here again. So if you want to be part of this project, just become a member of the channel, and I will find a way to integrate you soon. I've got some very cool ideas. So there's a tower that Sylph built. I still love that a lot, and obviously it's a very it's a typical weenie, but I wanted to kind of create a bit of a nice contrast between modern and classic, as you can see, and I think it works absolutely well. We've got this modern, obviously from the height of it, not even close to that one, and then both of them next to each other create this wonderful kind of sideline over here. I really like that, and then we do have a perfect way to squeeze in the staff path in the middle. I'm gonna hide that away with some nice concrete on top of it. So yeah, that's that. And then again, as I said, you've got this wonderful region. We can see one lying down over here. By the way, they have a terrible, absolutely terrible traversable area, so this is why this opening needs to be way too big. I've had some inspiration from some real-life habitats that I use, but they always have like a super tiny little tunnel which they go through, and I just couldn't do that because they need massive space to be going through. They couldn't even be fit through a normal gate. That was ridiculous. So I needed to keep it that open, and I made this wall green in the back to at least have a little bit of a contrast. Maybe I'm gonna do all the rest brown. I don't know, could be a solution to this one. But yeah, going around here, we can obviously see this wonderful area. And now, as you can tell, I love how this all works together. I love the way how the shade over here from all the strings and so on the rail, on the, yeah, what's it called? Like the, I forgot how that's called. Anyways, from the roof thingy looks in here. Just now have the lighting of Planet Coaster 2. That would be ace. So they have a bit of a climbing area here. They can climb over all these pieces. They have a bit of a submerged, lower down, almost like riverbed kind of style. And apparently I did put a bit of a water source in for them to play with. Like there's a bit of water coming down here. And then it just runs over there to just give them a bit of space. And then if we move around, you can have this wonderful look. And again, a lot of space for them to hide, burrow down in here, making sure that they don't have, you know, all this type. Is that both animals in? Is this the same one? I mean, you can see it from over here too, but that's fairly nice as well. I also put a couple of trees behind to give this a bit of a nicer backdrop and to make it feel a bit more embedded in the nature. I think this works always wonders if you have that around your habitat. Now let's sneak our way in to see the detail from the inside as well. Is the animal behind there? No. Is it? I don't know. It would be a perfect spot to hide for them as well, but I just used that to cover up this edge. I was too lazy to finish that with the strings. That is just a tedious work. I'm just gonna be blankly honest here. That's the way you do it. You also have like a scratching post over here, a couple of logs where they can climb, just like what cats do. And then let's go to the inside. You've got these two cages. Yeah, look, they're both lying inside. Excuse me, what happened over here? Let me just fix these things. No, I don't want to have this one. Animal delivery event. Yeah, okay. Is that the... What's the... Oh, gosh. Move the ocelot. Let's move this ocelot to the ocelot. Oh, no. Cancel. Oh, my God. Move here. There you go. And then Yuzu has no educators to give talks. Yuzu has no vet. Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? I'm just going to employ both just so that this message is not going to come in again. And then we can also fix some stuff. Okay, so like I don't have a vet. That's interesting. I definitely need to do some backstage stuff for vets. That's, I mean, we don't have a veterinarian area than anyways, I guess. But yeah. So we've got that one, and we're going to put down educators as well, just so we don't get the message. I mean, I don't even have tours scheduled, so whatever this thing is telling me. Anyways, so let's fix that little thingy then. I mean, if we're in this view now, why not? Oh, there's another one poking out too. Hello, I need you to be there. Can I select you? Let's go out of this one and see if I can select. Is that the one? Wait, hold on. Is that the? Oh my God, that's the whole building. No, I didn't want to have the whole building. I think it's that one. Let's see, is that one? Yeah, that one was the one poking out too. Okay, so that's done, fixed it. So, yeah, apparently also, you know what we can do as well? There's another animal coming in, awesome. It's kind of fun that they're placed down here and then they can just go through this thing. Not sure why. Ah, I know what happened. I needed to move that because of the terrestrial area issue I just mentioned earlier. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna do this, what I just said. Oops. I think they are both submerged in different ways. So let's make that brown. And then go over to this one and make that brown too. And then we have this one. If you're wondering why I need to click into different groups, I obviously hate the Z fighting to the ground, and this is why I'm always like trying to do that differently. The problem is it's gonna be brown from the outside then too, right? Yeah. Okay, you know what? Actually, we can use this lower side here and make this completely brown. Why not? It doesn't even matter. It looked kind of fine, so that's okay. I don't need to put it from the other side. But now it should be, yeah, it's definitely better from the outside. It's definitely better from the outside. Okay, now let's have a little look at the animals from here. Look, there's one going. I'm loving the model. I'm loving it. It's cool. As I said, it could be a tiny little bit less cute, but apparently from all the cats we have in the game, this is one of the better ones anyways. Gosh, they're so beautiful. Also, they're beautiful in real life, so that makes things easy to make it look beautiful. Woo! Whoa, hold on, that was quite a massive jump. Yeah, just the last thing I want to show you is the traversable area. As I said, it's a bit of a stretch, as you can see. There is not really that much they can navigate. They need to jump everywhere, as you can tell. But they do. I like the fact that they can go on top of this one. Usually this piece over here is not traversable, but then... yeah, but this is, again, a good point for a very good fix in Planet Zoo 2. I think if there's a Planet Zoo 2, this would be one of my biggest expectations, to reduce the amount of glitches significantly. And if that means we have more dedicated pieces to achieve some stuff, I'll take it. I love the freedom we have, but at some point it does apparently cause some very crazy glitches, and I would love to see that improved. So yeah. Anyways, I think we can zoom out a little to show you the beautiful build from in its full glory, and I feel like this fits in here super well. I still gotta do a bit of nature work over here, and then this spot is very nicely done. I'm also not sure if I do nature work or I do a bit of backstage work, because apparently what we could do is just take a couple of these things, place them down here, just like so, just like as an example, and maybe raise them a little. And if we put some facilities behind, you can't really tell from over here, and the guest won't be able to see it. I think having a bit of a backstage area here would work wonders for the overall distribution of things. But if we look at the full project, you can see this outer area is almost done. I'm gonna finish this off over here and put some more city stuff here, maybe some more parking lots and so on, so embed it and then make some forest work. I will enlarge the city because it doesn't really have that much of an impact to the performance, so I'm just going to copy more of the city in, which is going to be amazing. As you can see, there's all still the city work that Sylph did on the ground. I'm still copying things around here and there. This is the backstage area for our dolphins that have a good time. And yeah, last but not least, what we do still have to fill in is this right-hand side. This is what we did last time. I want to do a bit of a savanna area here, relocating what used to be in this spot, and some more smaller habitats. There is a spot for a smaller habitat. There is a spot for a smaller here. Like, also for the traffic, I want to make sure that there's a bit more traffic going on in this area, which is pretty empty at the moment, pretty boring for the guests to go to. So this area over here will see some love in the future. Maybe even the next episode is gonna tackle this. I'm very much looking forward to this. And then apparently a bit of the backstage stuff has to be done. And I think it's realistic to finish this off, this project, within this year maybe, because, like, you know, if I need to count, like, there's space for maybe one episode of some smaller habitats here, would be a bigger episode or two. Then we have got definitely an episode filling in this gap, might be episode filling in this gap. Then we have an episode filling in this gap, and we have definitely 1 or 2 episodes filling this huge space over here with what is going to be either savanna or maybe even elephants alone. Still not entirely sure, but I would love to make like a mixture of a classic and modernized habitat for elephants. And this is also my task for today's comment section. If you come up with a cool story for a savanna / elephant habitat, how we can put this into the story of the city zoo, let me know in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinion on that and what you could envision. That's the state of Venlo Zoo. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, and I can't wait to talk to you in the next one. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel or check out the Instant Gaming link. If you need anything, you'll find it there. So thank you so much. As always, have a good time, happy hump day, and bye.